Live from London, it's Plank of the Week with Mike Graham.
Good evening and welcome to Plank of the Week. It's Friday night on TalkTV. I'm Mike Graham and we have got one heck of a show for you because there have been just so many incidents of plankery this week that we didn't really know if we could fit them all into 1 hour. We're going to do our best with a fabulous panel. We have Ben Habib, of course, the man who's an advisor to Reform UK. We've got author Laura Dodsworth. We've got Peter Bleksley from former Metropolitan Police when it used to be good, and Georgie from Times, a money mentor. Here's what we're fighting for. It is, of course, Plank of the Week. And so, let us kick off straight away. Ben Habib, you've got what many people might think is a very early sort of starter for the winner. Let's go.
Well, my first plank of the week is Gillian Keegan.
Of course.
And I'm not choosing Gillian because she was responsible for the reinforced aerated concrete that has now become the bane.
Because she wasn't.
Because she wasn't.
Right.
And I'm not choosing her because she wore a Rolex watch to negotiate with the teachers when she was...
Nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing wrong with that. And nothing wrong with gaslighting parents when she said schools weren't closed during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Or indeed, in August, when she said to parents, do send your children back to school in September.
Yes.
Only to find that actually the schools were going to be closed down. No, the reason I'm holding her to account is because of the expletive that she used on telly when she thought the mic was off. And she said... She'd obviously had a slightly tough interview, I think it was with Sky News.
She didn't enjoy it. Well, tell you what, before you explain what the clip is, let's just have a look at the clip. Have a look at Gillian Keegan thinking she was off camera.
Does anyone ever say, you know what, you've done a good job because everyone else has sat on their and done nothing? No signs of that, no?
No signs of that?
So, I mean, I don't even mind the expletive, but it's the sentiment behind the expletive. The idea that Gillian Keegan, who's been in this role since October last year, presided over a series of teacher strikes, did absolutely nothing for the educational system other than to insult the teachers with her Rolex watch, insult parents over the notion that schools weren't closed, encourage pupils to come back, all of that. And then she thinks she's actually done a good job. And, you know, on a serious note, I really fear for the direction of education of our children. They go to school, they're taught nowadays critical race theory, that they should be ashamed of being white.
Right.
They're taught about gender identity, that there aren't just two sexes, but actually you can self-identify any number. I think they're now 72.
Yeah,
or
minimum,
and
at least.
And counting. And, you know, I've heard nothing from Gillian Keegan about challenging these ridiculous notions and safeguarding our children, giving them an emotionally safe place in which to be educated, getting rid of gender-neutral toilets, for example, and bringing children up in the way that we would wish them to be brought up.
Well, I mean, she was fairly irritated, wasn't she, Laura, by the inference that she was being held account for children possibly fearing death. I mean, I think the interviewer was a little bit over the top. He was more or less saying that, you know, you're putting children's lives at risk. I mean, as much as it's a horrendous situation and it's been very badly managed by successive governments, I mean, the way that some of the media were explaining what was going on was that, my God, you know, it's going to be like school roofs collapsing all over the place, killing children.
It's very reminiscent for me of Lockdown 1. You know, Lockdown 1, it's not safe to leave the building.
Yeah.
Lockdown 2, it's not safe to enter the building.
Yes.
I mean, I think there's a bit of a storm in a teacup about Gillian Keegan, although I agree with every single reason that you put forward for nominating her. But I think, you know, there is actually this bigger issue about the reinforced concrete being used to build schools. And it feeds into what you're saying about education, because actually it shows a contempt for the people in the building. The idea that a building material that's designed only to last a matter of years, a blink of an eye, is used to build public buildings is disgraceful. I'd like to draw your attention to the Parthenon, built 2,000 years ago from concrete. It's a shrine to the gods and a shrine to architects, and people visit it and it makes their hearts sore now. The idea that we thought we'd educate children under roofs that would collapse after a couple of decades is a moral disgrace.
It really is, absolutely.
And she doesn't deserve thanks for anything, even if she's just moved into this.
Because I'm afraid if you're an MP, you don't get thanked for anything. Get used to it. If you're a cabinet minister, even less reason to be thanked for it. You're well paid to do a job and just get on with it. But I've got some surprising news for you. This has happened before, albeit in a British comedy series, which is called Yes Minister. Have a look at this.
The interview was over. We were just chatting harmlessly. It was off the record.
It was on the tape.
So you just got to be careful. You never trust a camera. Ever think that it's off. Don't ever think that a microphone is not recording you if it's in the room with you.
The biggest question for me out of this whole saga is
Is she Kevin Keegan's wife or daughter?
Well, she doesn't have the same sort of perm, does she? I'll tell you what I found most interesting about this concrete story was that, one, we were talking about the whole nation talking about concrete for the first time since the last time we all talked about concrete. And the reason why the aerated concrete is weaker is, do you know why? Because it apparently expands and grows as it gets older. And so concrete does indeed grow. And I was right again, I'm afraid. I've got to say, you know, nobody can prove me wrong. But just if you didn't think Gillian Keegan was weird enough, have a look at this video that she put out just last week, when she was trying to explain the concrete problem.
Most schools will be unaffected and children should attend school as normal in September unless you hear differently from the school. So my key message to parents, students and teachers is that the vast majority of you will not be affected by this new guidance at all.
Now, you might think that we put that music over the message.
Music.
That was their message.
This is
that
a
they
building that could collapse on you.
And here's some jaunty, jaunty music.
Just
what were they
dance
thinking?
around the rubble.
Yeah.
If most of you won't be affected,
maybe the
that's
subliminal
okay.
message was if you keep moving, you can't get hit by the falling concrete. You know? But what about that? I mean, what sort of maniacs are running government? What sort of advisors have they got?
Well, that's the other
Presumably
big...
they've all just come back from the Burning Man festival and gone, yeah, this will be great because I can hear this music in my head all the time, and just put it onto some kind of government statement.
I mean, that's the other big takeaway, isn't it? Complete disconnect from reality.
Madness.
Complete disconnect.
Somebody said this government doesn't have soul, clearly.
I like the moves there, Peter. Laura, you've got something weather-related for us.
I know. I'm so sorry. So English. I'm bringing the weather again.
I know. I love it.
But I am nominating the twins of doom, the UK Health Security Agency and the Met Office.
Sure.
Because it seems that although the saying is there's nothing new under the sun, it seems there is, and that is, in fact, the sun itself.
Yes.
They've taken it upon themselves to give us an amber health alert for this week. And advice includes such gems as do not go out between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. because it's dangerous.
Well, not at all. Blimey.
Stay hydrated,
Right.
as though human beings need to be reminded to drink liquids, and also look after the elderly and the vulnerable. And I was just playing through in my mind, you know, if I said to my mum who's elderly, oh, Mum, there's a heat wave this week, you've got to stay inside and watch out, she would tell me off for being patronising. What they're really doing, and we've got to be clear about this, is not telling us it's sunny, because otherwise they wouldn't be here. They'd be in the global south, you know, with loudspeakers.
Well, they know it's sunny there, though, don't they?
Yeah, well...
They don't need to tell them.
This isn't really about warning us that there's a bit of sunshine after a terrible month. This is about ingraining fear and anxiety and hypervigilance. And it's just all about softening us up for bonkers net zero policies. They're trying to get us ready for the hair shirts we need to put on when we get asked to turn our heating down again this winter.
Is it not just the fact that they like telling us things, and because they learned the art of doing so during COVID, I don't think they're preparing us for anything in particular. I just think that they like it. They like giving you warnings. They like catastrophising everything because it makes them important. Because if there was nothing going wrong, we wouldn't listen to them anyway, would we? Well,
I think they themselves are probably steeped in health anxiety and they love telling us what to do. Don't doubt that, you know, they're kind of whinging Wilma busybodies. Yeah. But they are preparing us for something, because you can read the Nudge Unit reports on how they want to use weather reports in order to make people worried about climate change to change their behaviour.
But you know what I like about this is that you can tell who the stupid people are, because the stupid people actually buy it. And so when you meet people who go, I'm terrified about climate change, you go, you're an idiot. I'm not talking to you anymore. But let's have a look at Channel 5 explaining it to all of us.
Enjoy yourself outdoors if you want to, but just remember to take care, look out for others, and remember that these alerts are also for people who might be looking after people who are vulnerable in care homes or hospital settings, where it's really important that people are aware that temperatures need to be kept lower.
He should be wearing a hat for a start. He's got a very bald head. He could get bad sunburn on that.
Slip, slap, slop.
I feel bad now because, you know, I thought I'd made them sound stupid, but I didn't make them sound stupid enough. I mean, that is just idiotic. They're treating us like a nation of idiots.
Exactly.
And we've just had a horrible month.
Yeah.
And now we've got a week of sun. Yeah. Can we just enjoy it? You know, go out, get some rays, get some vitamin D, go to the park, go to the beach.
We're now having the weather in September that we should have had in August. What's the problem? You know,
it's global boiling.
Yeah.
Actually, September's often nice. In fact, I often think we shouldn't really call it an Indian summer. It's a classic British summer, because often August is a bit wet and then September's quite nice. I mean, this is the same.
Well, I was
it's like this every year.
I think, did we not have August bank holiday weekend? It didn't actually rain, when it always rains on August bank holiday weekend. It was like somebody said to me back in June, they were like, you've never seen weather like this, it's raining in June. I was like, have you ever watched Wimbledon? You know, every year when Wimbledon's on, it rains.
Yeah.
And there's always rain delays. Now it's not so bad because they've got a roof. But I can remember when they used to get really concertinaed with games at June because there was always rain. Ridiculous. Anyway, Peter, your first nominee.
Picture the scene.
Yes.
A lady in her 70s is going for a walk down a high street in the Yorkshire village of Hebden Bridge.
Very nice.
Which I've been to, rather picturesque.
Yeah.
Had its problems over the years, but a lovely, lovely place. And on a window, she sees that somebody's put a sticker. And this sticker reads, "Keep men out of women's spaces." So this lady in her 70s takes her phone out and takes a photograph of it because she wants to show these words to her partner when she gets home. Somebody calls the police.
You're joking.
And the police.
What, somebody who saw her taking the picture?
Somebody calls the police.
Dear God.
And they conduct an investigation. They review CCTV, seriously.
Yeah.
They see her photograph in this sticker. They identify who she is, and they pay her a visit at her home address.
This is the local plot.
Oh, yes. Yes, this is what I would call wasting police time.
Right, by the police?
Yes.
Right.
And she then gets issued words of warning, Eva, about her behaviour because they said spreading this sticker photograph, if she chose to do that, could be perceived as some sort of pseudo-intellectual nonsense kind of crime, apparently. Meanwhile, burglaries, car thefts, robberies and all that go unsolved.
Yeah. Shame they haven't used the CCTV to track down the burglars and the car thieves because presumably that's also being recorded on the same CCTV
That's
cameras.
all low-level crime. Why
Forget that, right?
They call this, though, is it a non-crime
Hate incident. Yes.
What are the police
Which I thought they'd stop that.
investigating non-crimes? I thought they were supposed to investigate crimes, and I don't think they're doing a very good job of that either. This sort of reminds me a bit of Soviet Russia. The police are being part of it. Clearly, if you read the story, this lady, she's a lesbian, she is supportive of the fact that there should be, gender spaces for individual genders. So clearly she's rubbed some people up the wrong way. It sounds like she's been shopped to the police. The police are facilitating that sort of behaviour. Why?
Actually, it is quite insidious. She was shopped by trans activists who didn't like the fact that she believes in biologically sex-segregated spaces.
How did they infer all of that just from taking a photograph?
It was a sticker placed over a pro-trans poster. So this sticker advocating single-sex spaces had been placed over a trans picture or a poster. She took a photograph of it. But forgive me, you're more expert in this. I didn't know taking a photograph of something. She didn't put it on social media. If she had put it on social media, would that have been considered a hate crime?
She was taking it home to show her partner.
So it was just literally, they didn't even know if she was going to spread it around. So the suggested crime hasn't happened yet.
But also, why shouldn't you put it on social media? It's there in a public space anyway. Why can't it be in a digital space? And what's wrong with it?
Oh, the thought police were offended.
These are things that people upheld to be normal just a few years ago, that you'd have men's and women's loos, etc. It's just...
Well, the good news is at least Yorkshire policemen have time to investigate.
Right.
These
stories...
Because they've solved all the burglaries.
90% unsolved crime, I think, is that right? Yorkshire police, 90%?
The length and breadth of the UK.
Yeah, but these stories normally end with, and then the police apologised and said that they were sorry for what they'd done. Has that happened yet, or is it yet to happen? Because it will happen. They will eventually apologise. They will realise it was a stupid idea, and they'll retract everything.
Whatever the police say, my advice to anybody who is confronted in such a way by having the ideological thought police knock at their front door is zip it.
Yes. I spoke to somebody earlier this week.
Not a word.
About that situation. And if they do turn up on your door, you certainly have no obligation to let them in. And you don't even have to speak to them if you don't want to. You can just say, thanks very much indeed. Send me an email if you've got a problem. Just get them to put it down in writing.
Say nothing. If they slap the cuffs on, then so be it, and they march you away, that'll end up costing them a lot of money.
Well, that will cost them a few quid
at some point. A couple of days after the incident, and she was caring for her seriously unwell partner. Yeah. How scary is that? You're in your 70s, the police turn up and talk to you about... It's very hard not to say something because you're so frightened.
I know. Ridiculous.
It's not police work.
No.
Will they just stop it?
Yes. I think that would be a very good instruction to offer to all police at this moment. Your first one, Georgie?
Yeah, I'm going for Emma Thompson.
Quite right, too.
a finer...
The Dame, isn't she Dame Emma now?
Sorry, a finer British actress you will not find. But she's a self-proclaimed eco-warrior that took a jet, if you remember, from America to London to join the Extinction Rebellion protest.
And she said that was fine
4 years
she
ago.
had to pass the message to the rest of the world.
Right, so she, which was disrupting normal people, absolutely. She's been spotted on a very expensive super yacht.
Yeah.
At some event to
somewhere
celebrate...
in Europe, isn't it?
Yeah, celebrate women. Look, super yachts are very polluting.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to say that.
I mean, this particular super yacht, I think, has sails, which is not to say that it's not polluting, but it has sails, I think, doesn't it?
Just because something has sails doesn't mean it's not polluting.
No, I'm not saying that.
Yeah, the top...
No, but she'll probably say, oh, but it's powered by wind.
Yes.
But it's not, is it?
Confident it's not. No,
Rubbish.
absolutely not. They are one of the most polluting that you can get. I found some stat, I don't just throw this together, Mike, that said the top 300 super yachts output as much carbon emissions as the 10 million residents of Burundi.
No,
What a statistic.
The boat is worth 200 million quid as well.
Yeah, and it's carbon polluting. My point is not, that she should never leave the home, although I think the British government would love that, that she should never leave her home and never drive a car. But all I would say is this, to me, just signifies the new elite.
Yeah.
It's forever been thus. And the rest of us, the plebs, are told what to do by this new powerful elite, moralising over the way that we live our lives. And they, who can afford to have their heat pumps and their electric cars and go on yachts and stuff, can tell us how to live our lives without any kind of idea about how much it costs us or the disruption that it causes to everyday lives. It is just moralising and elitism in a different form.
Yeah, but at least they can afford to be socialists.
Right, that's my point, exactly. And these are the people who are making decisions about things like net zero by 2050, which is to me like a Miss World kind of, I want to have net zero.
Well, it's going to
How are you going to afford it? I don't know, but I'm going to.
Yorkshire Police are
the
going to have a heyday with this because there's a bill going through Parliament at the moment, which I'm sure you're aware of.
The energy bill,
That's going to make it a criminal offence to breach net zero legislation. So you could have a custodial sentence for up to 12 months if you breach the net zero legislation.
Good luck with that. I don't think they're going to get that one
How
through.
can you have legislation on something which you've no idea how we're going to achieve? We have no idea the technology we're going to use to get there. What we're doing is we're hamstringing people. And who are we doing it to? It's people who are from lower income.
It's the biggest...
People get frightened. I had a message today from a woman who said she was 85 years old and she doesn't understand net zero, but she wants to know what issue, if she does something wrong, what's going to make it possible for them to send her to prison. And people get genuinely worried about it. So I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen. However, let's have a look at Emma Thompson with Extinction Rebellion, because we've got something to show you.
And I really do care about my children and my grandchildren enough to want to be here today to stand next to the next generation who are so inspiring, who so understand the problem. It's as though we've just been going around, well, not me actually, I've been banging on about it for years, and so have many, many people. But I really do feel like I can't even describe the level of hypocrisy from our government.
Yeah, hypocrisy. Her expert. I'm pretty sure those sunglasses have got a bigger carbon footprint than a Land Rover.
After that, she was asked after that, did you at least go economy?
Yes.
And she said, no.
No, of course not.
Of course she didn't.
Because they all say, well, if the new one from these maniacs is that, well, if the plane's going anyway, I can get on it. Oh, really? Well, what about the rest of us?
I love that she said she's been banging on about it.
Yeah.
Do you think her and Gillian Keegan would get on really well?
Maybe.
I think they would.
What I will say to people like that, as I said, look, I'm not going to tell anyone to not leave the house and hypocrisy and she can do nothing right, etc. What I'm saying is, if you are in a privileged position like that and you want to do your own thing, you want to recycle, you want to get an electric car, go ahead. But don't moralise on the rest of us who need to get to work, to go about our business and tell us that we are not doing things right and etc.
We're killing the planet.
Disrupting traffic and stopping people from getting to hospitals and stuff. That is rank hypocrisy.
It really is. Not to mention all of the absolute garbage that will be produced by that ship sailing around the Mediterranean with loads of wealthy people on it. Imagine the bottles of champagne they're going to have to recycle.
And the hot air.
And the hot air, absolutely right. It's ridiculous. It totally is utterly mad. But hypocrisy is the word. Absolutely right. Now, coming up, we've got to go to the next section, and one of our favourite royals is making a reappearance. Also, a city council that seems to have lost every single penny of its money. And we're going to the White House formerly somebody that used to work in there. He's on here as well. It's all coming up next on Plank of the Week. Welcome back to Plank of the Week. It is Friday night on TalkTV, the only place to be, of course, and we're well underway with some very good suggestions so far. I've got my first one, and it's that old favourite, the man that's never far from the list of Planks of the Week, and it is, of course, Prince Harry. I think we still call him Prince Harry. Do we still call him Prince Harry? I like to call him the Duke of Netflix, but unfortunately for him, we've got some bad news, because hot on the heels of Spotify cancelling his multi-million-dollar podcast deal, it looks like Netflix aren't going to be renewing their deal with Harry and Meghan either, because the new sort of series he's got out called Heart of Invictus, which is his story about the Invictus Games, which actually, you know, tells some quite nice stories of some really very, very brave people who have had terrible setbacks and been injured in all sorts of conflicts and have kind of fought back. But he's somehow managed to make it all about him, and he's managed to make the sort of the selling of the series all about him. And unfortunately, because there's a sort of global I don't know, jaundiced view of him, and I think a global fatigue of Harry and Meghan. It didn't make it into the top 10 of Netflix's shows, because people, I think, have just had enough. But it gets worse for the two of them. There was a couple of things that happened in the last week or so. He and Meghan went to the Beyonce concert, and there were lots of pictures which were shown, I think we're going to see one in a minute, of him looking not too happy. With Meghan sort of dancing about. She's there with one of her friends. He looks for all the world like a bloke who's going, God, I wish I'd stayed at home and just put the TV on and watched the baseball, you know, because it would have been more fun than this. Other people, of course, later pushed out other pictures and went, oh, but here they are embracing. Apparently, the PR machine was very unhappy with that picture that went out because he just doesn't look happy. Contrasted that, of course, with his next visit to a football match. LA Galaxy were playing the Miami team from David Beckham's side of the coin, which had Lionel Messi there. And he's having a great time. He's whipping it up, he's hugging people, he's smiling, looks really happy because she isn't there. To make matters worse, I'm sorry to keep going on about this. It's not like Prince Harry's at the centre of my world.
Quite a lot from a couple of pictures here,
I mean, not really.
No?
I mean, I'm not inferring anything.
Well,
no, Netflix are going to cancel his deal.
That's fair.
Spotify have lost $600 million because they put too much money into celebrities like him and Meghan, and nobody cares what they think or say. Even better than that, though, my favourite, I think, of all of this is that when they were drawing up the guest list, the VIP guest list for the football match, which included Harry and Meghan and loads of other superstars, all the other superstars had either, you know, basketball player, actor, you know, theatre director, next to them, where it said occupation. Do you know what they put for occupation for Harry and Meghan? Nothing. Because they didn't know what to put. Because what would you put?
Cyril.
So they literally are now worldwide recognised as not actually having an occupation. They don't do anything.
Unemployed.
Well,
the planks here are not Harry and Meghan, surely, are Spotify and Audible.
Yes,
because they've made so much money. I mean, if you've ever read Spare, you never need to read anything about Harry again. It's all in there, warts and all. If they thought that there was any legs in those two beyond that book and a bit of brouhaha a couple of years ago,
well,
more for them.
I love this. I love that Netflix and Spotify have lost money and they're cancelling the deals, because I'm fed up with big entertainment companies and publishers giving all these plum deals to the top celebrities who don't really have enough creativity or intellect
they gave podcasts
to justify
to the Kardashians, which is also a flop. You know, they gave loads of money to them. But also just on the green net zero hypocrisy scale as well, and I know, Georgie, you're like a hypocrite, to be pointed out. Harry's coming to Britain, obviously, to do his speech at the children's charity that he's a patron of, which is all well and good. He's coming in from Germany, where they're filming the Invictus Games. And guess how he's getting here?
Private jet?
Helicopter.
Oh.
Yeah.
He's going to come by helicopter because, you know, that's what he does. But he doesn't want us to do anything like that, because
he will buy his carbon credits, though, Mike.
Oh, of course he will. No, Elton John will buy them for him.
Yeah.
That's fabulous when he got a private jet from his polo match in Aspen to his house in California. I mean, there's so much wrong with that statement there. Which shows
I know.
That privilege.
Polo matches,
but they've only
Aspen.
had 2 kids for the environment's sake.
That's good.
So...
Well, let's hope they don't have any more. Sorry, I didn't mean that. You can have as many as you like. But anyway, right, who's your next one?
Well, my next one is Birmingham City Council.
Yes.
Not just because of the financial trouble that they've got into, but the they're symptomatic of a much bigger problem that's about to roll down on the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
So Birmingham City Council is the richest, or was the richest council in the United Kingdom.
The thing I was surprised about,
one.
apparently it's the biggest local authority in Europe.
In Europe, apparently. I don't know how you judge that, because they have a slightly different system. But, you know, you can with certainty say it is the biggest one in the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
And they've somehow managed to lose £1 billion on gender pay gap claims against. How do you lose £1 billion on that?
I know.
The legislation needs to be reviewed, in my opinion. You know, if someone takes a job, they're happy with the wages, the employer pays the wages, what's the gripe?
Well, it's all EU-inspired this as well, isn't it? Because it came in, the ruling was made, I think, in 2011, that they'd have to make this settlement, and they just never did anything. And so now it's ballooned up to £1 billion quid.
And they've rocked on through the lockdowns, which has obviously deprived them of a lot of rates money as businesses have gone bust. They borrowed money, like Billio, and now they've got a perfect storm with businesses not paying rates, income dropping, interest rates up, the value of their commercial property portfolio dropping.
Right. Partly because they put a clean air zone into the middle of Birmingham, so that a lot of businesses didn't survive that and have shut down now, so they don't get the business rates out of them.
And that's what we're getting in the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
We're emasculating the economy in order to deliver ideological outcomes.
Yes.
And Birmingham City Council is the perfect example of it. But they're not alone. There are 26 other councils that are suffering
I'm sure
at the
there'll
moment.
be loads, won't
and
there?
there will be many more.
Yeah.
And guess who's going to bail them all out?
Well, they are talking about putting up council tax, aren't they?
Well, it'll be us, won't it?
Of course.
We're going to
Also,
bail them out.
Let's not forget, on the good side, though, they have been renaming lots of streets in Birmingham, such as there's one, I think, called Diversity Avenue now.
Well,
So,
that save the day.
I'm not joking. No, it's not. I'm not making it up.
On.
I've suggested this morning, actually, on my show, that maybe we should rename the main bull ring as bankruptcy ring instead of bull ring, and just give it the proper name after all that.
You know, this is what happens to a country when it pursues ideology over economic prosperity.
Yeah.
And Birmingham City Council is a fantastic example. We're going to see so much more of it. And next time the government says they're taxing us to hell because they're trying to control inflation, we should say back to the government, no, you're not. You're taxing us to hell because you want to deliver blooming net zero by 2050.
And also to cover up for your own mistakes. We've got something from a time long ago when Birmingham actually was an interesting place to go.
Bye-bye groceries, bye-bye meat and fish.
At the Bullring Shopping Centre.
Bye-bye furniture, bye-bye everything.
At the Bullring Shopping Centre.
Buy some clothes for him.
Bye-bye a dress for me. Bye-bye for baby too. At the Bullring Shopping Centre. Goodbye to rainy days.
Hello to happy days.
At the Bullring Shopping Centre.
Bye-bye everything.
Someone got paid for that.
I don't know where Chuck finds this stuff. I really don't. But that's brilliant, isn't it?
That is
Happier
brilliant.
times, you might say.
I remember the
Imagine
Bull
people
Ring.
were excited about going to the Bull Ring Shopping Centre.
With advertising like that and tourism that could have come to the city on adverts like that, I don't know why they're in trouble.
Well, you can't because they've removed the recovery of VAT for tourists.
Well,
That's
indeed,
another taxation.
right.
But it is extraordinary, isn't it, how they have completely kiboshed their own economy. They've taken millions and millions of pounds off of the ordinary taxpayers in Birmingham, not only for
council tax has already
but
gone
also
up.
for their clean air zone. You know, you've got to pay to drive into it, and it's an absolute shambles. And I don't know how they've managed to get to be in a position of running anything. These people, because
they hosted the Commonwealth Games.
That's another thing. They spent apparently over 150 million quid paying for the Commonwealth Games, and you kind of go, well, why are you paying for it? That means we are. Anyway, we've got to move on. Laura, who's your next one?
I'll lighten the tone a little bit. No, I won't.
No.
With Anthony Fauci, who is actually pushing masks again for this autumn.
Just for people who might not remember who he is, I know that there won't be many of them, but there could be people who are new to this
Have you got a picture
show.
of him double masking?
I don't know. What have we got, Chuck? What have we got for Anthony Fauci? Oh, have a look at him playing baseball, see if he's wearing a mask.
Dr. Fauci,
Dr.
when you're
Fauci.
ready, it's your pitch.
He's not very good, I think, is what we're looking for.
He is wearing a mask.
Dr. Anthony Fauci.
That is one of the worst throws, I think. Isn't that? You should say,
thank you.
Could you throw a ball as if it shoots to prove how right you are about everything?
I love it.
Could you miss the target to prove how wrong you are?
I
And there
love
you
it.
are.
It's like some kind of medieval champion's
Is it?
trial, and he failed utterly, so no one should ever listen to his masking advice. So just to remind you that when COVID first started, Anthony Fauci was on record saying, well, you know, don't wear masks because they don't really work. And then governments around the world introduced masks as some kind of weird emotional sandbag placebo because there was no evidence that they work. And then, you know, he even started double masking, said, you know, well, if it's good, wear two. Double good.
Well, that kind of proves it doesn't work.
And he was working, wasn't he?
Stop with your logic.
He was working for Donald Trump at the time, wasn't he? Or at least he was part of the Trump administration.
He's worked for many presidents, of course, because he's been embedded in that role for what feels like an eternity. Anyway, he's saying that he's very worried that current anti-mask rhetoric will stop people following the advice of the CDC if it gives people advice to wear masks this autumn. And of course, what he's just neglecting to take into account completely is that his advice, the CDC's advice, was provably, demonstrably wrong all the way through. Masks didn't work. Lockdowns didn't work. Everything he said was just made up and unevidenced. And so it's that people won't trust him anymore, not that they're falling for anti-mask rhetoric. And let's be clear what he's talking about when he says anti-mask rhetoric. He's talking about a study that was published by Cochrane, which is the world's gold standard in evidence-based medicine research. Now, the lead author of that study, Tom Jefferson, has come out with the gloves on, swinging punches, saying that if Fauci doesn't believe it, he may have read some trash studies. And I don't blame Tom Jefferson for this attitude. What it is Fauci's really doubling down because he doesn't know where to go. You know, the man wore 2 masks, for goodness sake. And now we've got gold standard research saying that masks did very little or nothing to reduce the transmission of respiratory viruses. Don't put your mask on this autumn. They don't work.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, I think Joe Biden's been seen with more than 2. Not because he wanted to put more than one on, he just forgot that he had one on, put another one on, and then put another one on, and went, how many have I got on now? You know, can you count to 4?
I mean, on a serious note, I think he's worse than deceptive.
Is he still even in charge of anything? I thought he'd retired.
He's probably secretly in charge of stuff, isn't he? He was given a big, massive payoff when he left. But I think it's worse than that because, you know, really, he's caused little children to be masked and have their speech and their communication and education ruined. He caused schools and states to shut down. And it's an enormous responsibility
Did you see the U-turn this week
from
Chris Whitty? Chris Whitty has advised this week that parents with children who have got runny noses and sniffly colds should send them to school. And everyone's going, sorry?
First
sorry,
sensible
what's your
thing.
name? Chris Whitty. Oh, Chris Whitty, the guy that shut all the schools and said don't go to school because you'll spread everybody with a horrible disease.
First sensible thing he's ever said.
Amazing. I think he's had his body snatched and replaced by somebody else. Anyway, coming up, we've got some more bad cops coming in and also another council, actually, which is a good one. And a very unusual story to end up the show from an American who lives in this country. This is Talk TV, Plank of the Week. More coming up. Welcome back to Plank of the Week, the one show where you don't have to worry about judging everybody else because that's what we do. And we're well through it, actually. We've only got 3 more to go before I get to choose who's going to be the winner. Some great nominations. Peter Bleksley's here, former copper himself. I can't believe you're going to pick on the police again, Peter.
Well...
You know...
Well, actually, I've been having second thoughts about this one.
Have you?
I don't know whether I should have nominated them or not because the police have ordered 5,000 pairs of 40-inch waist trousers, right? I mean, I'm a bit of a lump, but I'm only a 38.
Right.
And what I'm concerned about is because actually I think this might have been a real coup on behalf of senior police management, who I'm often critical of, because clearly the fatter they get their police officers, the more visible they'll be.
That's possible.
So this could be a great high visibility policing strategy.
So just put 1 out instead of 3.
Yeah, exactly.
But also, I'm told it's not just 40; it's plus 40 as well. So it's 40 and above.
Yeah.
So I mean, 40 might be relatively sylph-like.
Yeah. 56, I think I saw.
56.
Is that right?
That can't exist.
I mean,
what?
They're not really trousers. That becomes a sort of a danger to aircraft, doesn't it?
Well, I've heard that the police have also created a brand new unit, which is called the Flying Squad.
Very good. Very good. I see what you did there. Now, you think they're fat in this country. Wait till you see this clip. We've got another great find from Chuck, our producer and director. He's found this from America.
Officer Chris Parent walked into the Bellevue Police Department for the first time in almost 2 years. Officer Parent came to start the process to get back into uniform. The Bellevue police chief fired Officer Parent in August of 2007 because of his performance at this state-mandated gun test. Bellevue police gave us this video. Officer Parent passed when he had to shoot and hit his target, but he failed when he had to kneel down, shoot and get up. He eventually used his arms.
Dear God. I mean, you don't have people like that in charge of guns, really, do you?
I mean, the
he could have shot anyone there.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's come as a
this
shock.
is not about fat shaming, by the way. It's just, you can't have people who are that fat supposed to be fighting crime, can you?
In my considerable experience, criminals do have a habit of running away.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's rather helpful if the police are in a position to chase them.
Yeah. Or
and
at
catch
least
them.
if he can't chase him, he can shoot him, which he can't do if he can't get down on one knee, presumably. I don't know. I mean, the world has got a bit weird, I'd have to say. Anyway, apologies to anyone if you're that fat and you think that was offensive. I don't know why I'm apologising. Georgie, who have you got next?
Newham Council.
Fantastic.
Another council.
That'll do.
Yeah, this is busybody Britain to the nth.
Right.
It's such a good example. So a couple lose their cat, Otis, very sad. It was like their child to them, apparently.
Was he named after a lift? Otis. It's an odd name, isn't it? Otis,
Otis Manufacturers.
That's the only name.
By the by. Anyway, so Otis goes missing.
Yeah.
Possibly presumed dead. We don't know. But they put up some posters, as you would.
Yeah.
As you do.
And then they noticed that they were being taken down by the council. The council's cleansing team.
What?
So they complained to the council, who then informed them that under the Highways Act 1980, you cannot paste any poster up on any lamp or anything, and they could be fined £1,000 for doing so.
Really?
And they had to send out the cleansing team. That is why clearly they're bankrupt, all these councils, because what are they doing with these cleansing teams? But this is just...
And how many people are in the cleansing team?
This is rules for the sake of... Yeah, of course. This is rules for the sake of rules.
Yeah.
This is the computer says no. We either don't trust you, the public, we treat you all the same, or we don't trust the people that work for us to make sensible decisions about... So the argument is, oh, it's messy for the area, it looks dirty. No, this is a couple looking for their cat, right? They've had to print out leaflets and post them through letterboxes, which I'm sure is not very good for the environment to do that.
I mean, I've been to Newham, as many of you probably have as well, and you don't think, my God, isn't this an amazingly beautiful,
shiny,
clean,
cleany,
shiny, environmentally friendly part
but
of
it's
London?
been cleansed now, Mark.
No, but
maybe you went pre-cleansing.
I didn't notice there were no signs up, or nothing stuck to lampposts, or no stickers, or no fast food joints that have chicken in the title.
Exactly right.
Like it's KFC, but it isn't.
No area of our life now. I'm sure
NFC, Newham fried chicken.
But no area of our life, our social life, seems to be have escaped now the attention of the police and the council and government bodies.
Yeah.
Whether it's kids skateboarding or people putting up posters of cats.
But, I discovered, which I didn't know, and I may be idiotic not to have known this, I discovered this week that loads of councils charge you to take away your garden waste, that they will actually bill you an amount of money ranging from sort of £40 to £80 a year just to take away your garden waste. And I'm going, why wouldn't you just burn it? Put it in a bonfire in the back of the garden. But also, I heard during the ULEZ conversations we've been having over the last week or two that some people have been asking the question: where have they got permission? Where has Sadiq Khan got permission to put all these cameras up in places where you're told you can't do anything? Suddenly there's a camera appearing on a street where you're not allowed to put, for example, a sign looking for your lost cat. How do they find the right to do that?
Has Otis been found?
Well, no, that's the thing. I don't know.
Oh.
If only he was run over by one of the members of the cleansing team.
Well,
I'm only kidding. I don't know what
something broke in society in a way during lockdown because people lost a lot of compassion and tolerance. I mean, who's ever? But I think it's really specifically since then, because who's ever begrudged a poster of a lost cat?
Newham Council.
Yeah. I don't think that would have happened several years ago. I think anybody would have thought, shame, lost cat.
It's like thirst that they've got for ordering everybody around.
Yeah.
They've got wardens now that stand, and I've seen them outside of London in a particular a county that I know, standing by the recycling units where watching people getting stuff out of their car, and if you put it into the wrong recycling, if you put the clothes in the bottles or the bottles, they come and give you a ticket.
Yeah, have a
they come and give you recycling wards. It's just bonkers.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I was in Skipton and I saw, this was actually during lockdown, but it was completely un-lockdown related. I saw a cyclist trying to go up the wrong road. This guy who's, I don't know, he's not a police officer, but something equivalent.
Was he in a high-vis vest?
Stops the bike physically.
Right.
The guy's got clips in. And so I just said, that's quite dangerous. And so I sort of walked off and he came up to me and said, "What's your name?" Like round the corner, very intimidating. "What's your name?" Writing it down. I was shaking. I was like, "Who are you? You're not even a police officer." I'm not giving you my name.
Right.
And then I walked off and then complained about
Right.
it. And then I spoke to the council. They said, "Oh yeah, we know about this guy."
Was he just a member of the public?
Some sort of failed police officer or something. I don't know.
Really?
But I just thought it's that kind of officious, busybody. I don't know if it's little people
It's
getting
the lives
a
of
bit
others, isn't it?
of regulation. They just don't have or allowed to have the kind of freedom to say, actually, is this a really sensible thing to do?
Yeah.
Discretion.
Exactly.
But that's the
Where
other
did we
thing.
go wrong
But
there?
you're right.
that
I'm sorry to keep referring back to your earlier comment about lockdown, but you're right. I mean, Laura was talking about people's sort of attitudes changing. It's like when they were told or suggested that they might want to shop their neighbours. If you see anybody coming round
Over
for a
100,000
party.
people were reported by their neighbours to the police.
Right.
And that was a really disgraceful thing to encourage. It's
I wonder how they're getting on with their neighbours now.
It's like communist bloc policing.
I mean, there
and
was a
people took to
fundamental-
it a lot more easily
Yeah.
than we ever would have predicted in this country.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at the stage where you can't have a poster for a lost cat.
I know.
You need to just bring back some common sense and a bit of
common sense
tolerance
is
and
in short
compassion,
supply. Well, I was just going to say, I mean, I think there used to be a principle that you were responsible for yourself, that everyone had to take responsibility for their own actions.
Yeah.
And during lockdown, it became us having to be responsible for each other. And on the face of it, it's all very cuddly and warm and lovely to be that way, but it's the embedding...
Like a cult.
Cuddly
and warm. Lovely. Oh, look, there's somebody not doing what we're told. Bang, you're dead.
It's the embedding of that kind of Chinese socialist totalitarian... It's not you that needs to look after yourself. We all need to look after each other, and the state is going to infantilise all of you to make sure that we...
And if you're doing anything wrong...
There was a principle that you were allowed to do things unless it was prohibited.
That was
now it is you are
principle.
not allowed to do things unless we say you can.
And
Explicitly.
that is directly out of the European Union. It's the difference of European law versus British law.
Roman law versus common law.
And when Kemi Badenoch said she couldn't remove those 4,800 EU regulations for fear of creating a legislative vacuum, she was talking unadulterated nonsense. Because British law works exactly the way that you described it. Nothing would have stopped. No vacuum would have been created. Kemi Badenoch's just a failed... she was a darling.
She's the most popular.
common law.
She's the most.
Indeed.
She's the
Only
most
on
popular.
this show.
As well.
Well, there you go.
ask
It's a
anybody.
low bar.
It's not a very big bar. Anyway, coming up very soon, we will find who the plank of the week is. But there's one more nomination to go, and that's coming from me next, right here on TalkTV. Welcome back to the final part of Plank of the Week. This is a bit where we decide who is going to actually win it. And there's been an awful lot of very good suggestions this week, I have to say. And can I just congratulate you all as well on being so civilised. We had a very uncivilised panel last week. We kept talking over each other, shouting to keep shutting them up. So you guys have been great. My final nominee, because it is my final chance to do this, is an unusual one, because we don't always just do kind of random people. We normally have, organisations or things that have happened to police or something like that. This is just a guy who happens to have put something on TikTok. His name is Mark Cole. He lives in Scotland, somewhere near Glasgow, we think, but apparently doesn't like it very much. And he basically put a TikTok video out complaining about how awful Scotland was. Have a look at this.
Things that drive me crazy about the UK as an American. The bathroom sinks are tiny. It has not stopped raining all summer. We'd just park at the side of the road. No AC. They don't have central air, only radiators even in new homes. This is how you adjust the temperature. Power outlets have to be turned on before they work. The windows don't have screens. Living rooms are small.
I love that.
Mark, I mean, there are many things. I think it was
anecdotal.
Oscar Wilde used to describe English and American as, you know, two great countries separated by a common language, because, you know, there's so many things. I mean, I used to have American in-laws, and they would come to Britain, and they could never. They're all frightened, terrified to drive here. They'd be like, "We can't." I was like, "Why don't you just rent a car?" "Oh no, we can't. The roads are too small,
too narrow."
They literally couldn't handle it. You know, they'd be going, "Why are all the houses so close together? You know, what's going on?" This guy also complained about the roundabouts, because they don't really have those in America at all. They just have traffic lights, and they never know what to do. And if they do have a traffic circle, as they call it, they actually end up stopping on it to let you in. So nobody knows what's going on. But it's a common refrain, isn't it? Because, I mean, I'm certainly one of those people, I don't know if you guys are, but I spent time living in America when I was younger. And I know loads of people who spent time living there and here. And the differences are still incredibly stark, aren't they?
We also don't have cheese in a can. I mean, the
Cheese
poor
in a
man,
can.
what is he
I know.
doing?
Well,
Must
this is
be
the thing.
awful.
I mean, he was baffled by all sorts of stuff. He said the lack of IHOP, which is the International House of Pancakes, as everybody in America knows, which is like a place you stop whenever you fancy some pancakes. He said that's absolutely outrageous. There's also no cheesecake factory. He wasn't happy about that. And he thought that that Greg's was an absolute abomination. And he wanted Taco Bell.
Get out.
Just revoke his visa to be here. I don't know what he does, but he's got nearly 5,000 TikTok followers.
I mean, he could have really gone to town.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. But if he's complaining about radiators,
Yes.
I thought, you know...
I mean, it is.
He hasn't travelled
It's a
around.
culture shock.
Scotland's beautiful. He hasn't got in his car.
Doesn't look like he's left his flat. He's taking the guide of the government.
Yeah, I mean, wait till he goes somewhere where you can't buy anything after sort of 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's all shut. I mean, you know, France. Unbelievable. Yeah, well, France on a Monday in August. Good luck getting everything. Well, listen, we've come to that part of the show where I have to name the winner. And I have to say, there's been some very, very imaginative ones today. But I think I'm going to have to give it to Ben Habib.
Oh, my goodness.
Because it's got to be Gillian Keegan. I mean, she has to be the plank of the week. I mean, she may never be on it again, because I've got a feeling that by this time next week she might be out of a job. And God knows what they're going to give her next. But thank you very much indeed to all of you. This is the award. I mean, she's asked for people to be grateful for what she's done. So here you are, Gillian Keegan. Finally some recognition. You've won Plank of the Week. Well done to you. Well done to Ben Habib for winning. Thank you very much indeed. Laura Dodsworth, lovely to see you. Your new book is called what?
Free Your Mind.
Free Your Mind, there you go. And of course, Peter Bleksley and Georgie Frost. Thank you very much indeed. Coming up next, it's The World According to Mike Graham, starring me, funnily enough. I'll see you later.